Eto! Hello everybody and welcome to the Filipino Freethinkers podcast. It's also a video. I'm Red.
I'm Pepe.
And I'm Talia.
And today we're talking about Flores de Pusher. That now infamous march of suspected. We have to emphasize this so much. We will emphasize this as much as we can in this podcast. Suspected drug pushers in Tanawan.
Yes. A place in Batangas.
So here's a link to it, but we'll summarize it anyway. What happened in that place?
So there were about 11 suspected drug pushers ranging in age from 14 to I don't know. And they were marched Santa Cruzan style with banners over their heads saying Flores de Pusher because they were all alleged drug pushers.
Yeah, so there was the art.
Yeah, the
like
art
they were holding it, and then there were signs.
So it was public
they were holding
humiliation.
signs like saying drug pusher, right? No alleged. Again, we will emphasize this. No suspected. Just drug pusher. Wag tularan. Do not. Yeah.
Follow
imitate.
in my footsteps.
Do not emulate. Right? And you already mentioned the age ranged from 14
Do something.
I read a report, I'll link to it. There were two 17-year-olds as well,
Yes.
and one 14-year-old. So a lot of people are angry about that. But we think that they should be angry about each and every one of the people, of the 11
Yes.
in that march.
Even the few who admitted that they were pushing drugs because they were so poor that they couldn't get any work, and even the one guy who said that he couldn't get work because he is an ex-convict and the only way he could make money for his family was through drugs because no one would hire him.
Even if the reason is super evil, I'm selling drugs because I want to make dirty bombs, I want to kill people,
I want to ruin
I want to
lives.
hurt everyone. Even so, it was still a violation of the human rights of these individuals. This is what we will talk about today, how people have been reacting. How have people been reacting on your wall?
Well, sadly, I mean, not on my wall. I wasn't able to share the report, but I see that the reaction of people has been like, "Oh, these guys deserve it." They think that
they deserve it.
They immediately go on and judge the people who have only been suspected of crimes. I mean, granted, some of them have admitted to it, but to say that they deserve this kind of treatment, they go an extra step beyond what is prescribed by law and due process.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty scary. It's kind of how mobs, it reminds me of these people with
Lynching.
with pitchforks and torches. This kind of mentality growing.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that at least there was no pit at the end of the march. No gallows there. No.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
They weren't being whipped or anything, no lashes.
How have people reacted on your...
Yeah, I do see a lot of similar reactions. There are a lot of friends from FF who say the same things we're saying, that it's not okay. But I guess it's the same people who have been crying for death penalty, who have been saying that all of these drug pushers should die and do not deserve to be treated as humans. These are the same people who are also commenting on my wall, not really wall, my feed, saying that they deserve this punishment, they deserve to be treated like animals, like they're not human.
Yeah. Criminals have no human rights, and apparently alleged criminals, suspected criminals, do not have human rights as well. Maybe something that's more popular or more trending on social media, if not this Flores de Pusher, is the thing that happened at the Close-Up concert. Right? We're not talking about... we're not talking about that yet because there's still an investigation going on. But I just want to point out that the reactions of some people are very similar.
Yeah.
But you said, they deserve it kind of narrative, the thinking that because these people ruin lives, it's okay then for their lives to be ruined in such a way. And some people might even say, well, at least these alleged drug pushers, well, they don't say alleged, these drug pushers are still alive. A lot of their victims are already dead. So we can do anything to them short of killing them because that would be inhumane.
Actually, for the close-up event, I'm confused by how people are reacting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people who died from the from the drug overdoses, a lot of them just had drinks that were spiked.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily true that they were having drugs or knew that they were taking them or they were pushing them. It's not. That's
we
not
don't have that
necessarily true.
information.
We
Yeah.
don't have that
Jumping to the
information yet.
conclusion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we don't even know if they died of a heat stroke or the
Yeah.
drugs. And the people are assuming that they're drug pushers when most of the reports have shown that the drinks were spiked and you can't tell if people took them knowingly.
Again, we can see here, again, we don't have enough information yet. Maybe we'll do a podcast when we have it. Is that people will just use whatever narrative is most convincing to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're someone who does not understand or participate in the party culture, then maybe you jump to the conclusion that they overdosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are responsible for it, and they are suffering the consequences, reaping what they sow and all that. But if you do understand, you have more sympathy for them if you are part of that culture, even more so, if you know those people even
Yeah.
more.
Definitely.
Right? There are people who are really coming to grips with what happened in close-up, and I think that translates as well. I mean, how many of the people on Facebook, on your wall, on your wall, on my wall, know anyone of the 11 people who marched at the Flores de Pusher? Zero. Right? Those people who, even the victims of these people, do you know them? No, you don't. Like, it's just a very, a class issue as
Yeah.
well.
I think it's like a huge predictor of how people would react to these kind of things is how much distance,
Yes.
how much
Definitely.
privilege they have to be distanced from these kinds of events.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that they feel like, oh, this could never
Yeah.
happen to me.
Yeah.
Or anyone I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
anyone I know,
the Flores de Pusher is probably the best example. It's so many levels of detachment. These people are poor. These people are ex-convicts. These people don't live in NCR.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that a lot of the people watching, a lot of the people commenting on Facebook are from NCR. They're not from this specific place. They're too far from the situation, and they've probably never seen anyone deal drugs or have to resort to that.
Yeah.
So they can't even imagine what it's like. So they don't even see these people as a kapwa.
Yeah, you were
They're
telling
othering them.
like about how some of these drug pushers just really needed the money
Yes.
to survive, right?
Yeah.
These people on Facebook even understand what it means to
Be on the edge.
have
of-
2 or
Probably
3
not.
jobs, be forced into that kind of situation.
Have 11 children and on a
Like-
minimum wage salary.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm only imagining based on what I have read, what I have seen in documentaries. I'm only assuming how hard it is, but even I cannot imagine how hard it actually is. And I'm,
Yeah.
just assuming that it's gonna be hard, and I can't even imagine because of the privilege that I have. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not know how to check the privilege that
Yes.
they have. This place has been called
The Little Mindanao.
the Little Mindanao.
Yeah, of the
Yeah.
Calabarzon area.
Yeah.
Because of the it's notorious for illicit drugs. It flows around.
And the guy who's responsible for these marches, for this blatant violation of human rights, his name is Antonio
Halili.
Antonio Halili, right? And I read that he's also responsible for parading like
Rapists.
a rapist
Yeah.
and a fish thief.
Fish thief.
A fish thief, someone who just
Define
needed the
fish
food.
How
I
many
guess
fish?
You steal. I mean, they didn't even say like a truck of fish thief. It just maybe just several pieces of fish.
Danggit tilapia.
I don't know, but seriously, like Antonio Halili, he is a self-professed supporter of Mayor Duterte. And what's scary is a lot of people are getting these ideas. Where do you think these leaders are getting the idea that they can violate human rights in such a blatant way?
wonder.
Where do you think?
Disregard
Is it the
due
landslide
process.
victory
I don't know.
of
Maybe.
one presidential candidate?
I can't be sure.
There are reports that these things have been happening. I'm referring to like suspected drug pushers or anyone involved in that kind of business is being killed. Like before they're even charged. They're being punished by vigilantes essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Before they can be brought to justice. At least the justice that is legislated. Like not the justice that that's very subjective. I'm angry at this person, and therefore I can do whatever I want to this person. Because let's just make this clear that there is no provision in the law, even when you are found guilty
Yeah.
of peddling drugs, even manufacturing drugs,
Yeah.
even if you create a factory of drugs and cause the deaths of millions. There's no provision in our law that says you can be paraded
Yeah.
like
We
like
don't have
made
a
fun
walk
of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
walk
we don't
of
have
shame.
that walk of shame clause in any law.
No, even if you're found guilty of that. So that itself is crime. I mean, these people want to be somewhere else. They don't want to be subjected to this treatment, and they're being held there. They're being forced to walk there. And what is that? When you're what is that? Is that kidnapping? Is that illegal detention? I don't.
Yeah.
They're moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a way, I
Like
guess.
the CHR representative in that area, Jacqueline Degia, called it mental torture, and I agree. It is
Yes.
torture.
Definitely.
Like they will be, I think, scarred for.
For sure.
It will affect them, especially those
The
the
children.
two 17-year-olds.
Yes. And the 14-year-olds,
You know,
for sure.
Yeah.
there are stories of so many people involved in drugs, drug addicts, drug pushers, who have turned their lives around, who have gone through rehabilitation, and it has worked for them, and they're now contributing members of society. It's hard to imagine that these kids will have the same opportunity or as much opportunity to be
They're
rehabilitated.
not even done with school yet.
Not even done with school yet.
I'm sure that they're going back to class in a couple of months.
And yeah, what kind of treatment will they,
Yes.
And let's not even forget. I said we will emphasize this, and we can't emphasize this enough, that these people are alleged and suspected drug pushers. The defense of Antonio Halili is to say that they were caught in the act.
Yeah. And
How does that
That's
even
really
work?
strange for me, because if they say that they were caught in the act, then okay, present it in court.
Yeah.
Show the court your evidence.
Exactly,
But
document it.
These things, these processes are in place to protect everyone, because as we know, like, the justice system isn't perfect.
Yeah.
It has to protect against abuses of power.
Yeah.
Even the police sometimes are known to bear false witness against some
Maliciously?
people. Yeah, maliciously.
Or even innocently,
Or
they bungle the.
maybe they were incompetent, and then people go to jail when they're actually innocent.
Yeah.
And that's why we have these strict processes to make sure that we don't send innocent people to jail, and even worse, make innocent people go through punishments that aren't even
Yes.
part of the law to begin with.
Well, maybe you hit the nail on the head right there. If these people went through the proper system, of punishment and prosecution, then they'd be in jail. And what opportunity would Antonio Halili have to parade these criminals?
Yeah.
These alleged criminals. I almost made the same mistake. That's Onyo Duterte and Antonio Halili. These alleged criminals. How will they be suspected to this mental torture, this illegal detention, and all that if they're, if they go through the
jail,
proper
yeah.
system? And again, these people that are going through it, they're the people in society who need help the most.
Yes.
If we had a better society, if there wasn't inequality, corruption in our government, these people wouldn't need to resort to these kinds of activities. And
Actually,
yeah,
going back to being caught in the act, even that statement, even the idea of witnesses,
Yeah.
there's countless studies that show implanted memories, false memories. Our memory isn't as infallible as people think.
thank you, psychologist.
And I did a thesis on this.
Okay.
And even if people think that they saw what they saw, they might have misinterpreted it.
Yeah.
It's really difficult for you to say, no, I caught him in the act.
Yeah.
Because if it's just one person catching you, it's
Yeah.
your word against theirs.
Anecdotal.
It's anecdotal, and
Yeah.
it's just bearing witness.
The
It's-
way memory works. Right?
Exactly. I will link a paper that is free for this
Nice
as
link there.
reference. Yes.
Yeah. So of course there's that infamous video of the monkey suddenly inserting itself into the passing the ball, and then there's the monkey, and then nobody can.
Yeah.
And then of course, what you mentioned about memories and how you show a picture of a person that someone has only seen for the first time, and then the way memory works is it's constructed in a way that you don't get the file and replay it.
You don't.
You construct
You
it from
reconstruct
scratch.
it. Yes.
Right? And, it's an interesting thing to study memory. But anyway, the point is, eyewitness testimony, this idea of
It's not waterproof.
It's not
caught
that far.
in the act. And, what other implications are there when you say that someone is caught in the act? It's the idea that there can be witch hunts, right? These police officers or even vigilantes or even members of community who just do not like a person, they can maliciously say, drug pusher, right? Arrest
I
that.
caught him.
Okay, caught in the act, you're part of the Flores de Pusher for next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And even if it's not malicious, even if you just think poorly about a certain individual, you see them hold like tawas,
Yeah.
right?
Look,
and
it's
then
cocaine.
yeah, look, okay, arrest that person. You believe sincerely that you caught the person in the act, but that person's actually innocent. That kind of thing. Emotions tend to
Cloud.
do things to our mind. Cloud our
Definitely.
judgment, cloud our objective, our senses.
Yeah.
Cloud our objectivity. And even if they're not clouded by emotions, as we have mentioned already, they're not perfect to begin with. So that is why we need these laws, these procedures, evidence to be, proven beyond reasonable doubt that this person is guilty, and only then will this person
Go to jail.
Go to
or be
jail,
punished in whatever
but
way.
never
Hopefully be rehabilitated.
Hopefully rehabilitated.
hopefully rehabilitated, especially if they're young. We have
Yes.
juvenile delinquent. I mean, they're
They have
different.
separate facilities
Yeah.
Right.
for juveniles, which are severely
Again,
underfunded.
and also we need to emphasize this. What kids are called, what minors are called, is juvenile delinquents.
Yes.
Right? They're not called criminals in the same
Yeah.
way that adults are, because there's a presumption similar to consent.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can be used by adults in certain ways. We assume that their judgment is not on the same level as
an adult.
adults.
Yes.
So we call them juvenile delinquents, to account for that, age of consent, which in the Philippines is 12. This has been going around, like something that Duterte and Cayetano said during their campaign. They wanted
Yes.
to
Lower criminal liability
lower criminal
from
li-
15 to 12.
Yeah.
Which brings up another thing. There was a 14-year-old there, so she wasn't supposed to be criminally liable at all. She can't even be considered a juvenile because the minimum age is 15 and she doesn't even hit
A
that.
juvenile delinquent.
Yes, for a juvenile delinquent, you have to be between 15 and 18. After 18, that's when you're tried as an adult. But one of the people who marched was 14.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really
Can you guys even
wrong.
remember what you were doing when you were 14?
Well, I'll play the devil's advocate here. The way people will see this, I mean, the way critics of our current justice system, which they call broken, is they would say that these kids are used to commit the crimes precisely because they keep getting away with it. Because, they fall through the cracks. They're not caught because they're considered innocent. They're not thrown in jail for so long to rot, and they should have been. These are the kinds of thoughts that people have. And again, it's a different climate. Like, say, before the Duterte candidacy, I don't think we would get the same kind of reaction from people, from many sectors of society. And I think a lot of people, especially those who voted for Duterte, are kind of set on it. They're on this track that
They have sunk
criminals. Yeah. I mean, if I admit now that
That I was wrong. All of these past 6 months of posting about how great he was, that's all down the drain, so I have to keep going. It's not true.
Yeah, and we consider ourselves a progressive organization. We like fighting for
Human rights?
human rights, LGBT marriage equality, divorce, euthanasia.
Equality in general.
Like these rights for minorities that are not yet legislated. We will still. If people start violating human rights of criminals in these ways, Flores de Pusher, it's not even in the mandate of, in the usual thing that we fight for at Filipino freethinkers, because we never imagined when we started this that we would have to fight for something as basic.
Yeah.
As the right to due process. Come on, we didn't sign up for this, but we would. Right?
Yeah.
We would. It's come to this that we have to. Okay, let's put the LGBT marriage equality advocacy on hold for now. because people are forgetting that due process is already legislated.
Yes, it's a thing.
It's already part of
It's like
our
secularism,
yeah.
right? Part of the Constitution,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah. Secularism is another story because it hasn't really been practiced
That's true.
in a very
It's in
consistent
paper,
way
but-
Yeah.
from the
Yeah,
start.
it's on
From the
paper.
start. But due process, I'll give our democracy
True
you know
enough.
more credit. I mean, they have
Yes.
respected the idea of due
In
process
general, at
in
least.
general. In general, of course, there have been violations, martial law,
For sure.
the
right?
biggest.
For the apologists in the audience, martial law was infamous for that.
Probably the single biggest violation of due
Right?
process in the
and
Philippines.
and here we are now.
Habeas corpus.
Duterte is president, and he is saying that Marcos should be buried in the libingan ng mga bayani. And a lot of people are fighting for Marcos to be the vice president. Like, of course, some people could be just asking for fairness. That's one thing. But it's
Sure.
another thing that there are apologists as well
Yeah.
who think that Marcos
Deniers.
did nothing. And so many things. I mean, can we just fight for the progressive stuff
Yes.
again?
Yes.
Come on, due process. Thank you for watching this episode. If you like this, do share, subscribe, and comment. We will talk about this on the next meetup. Details of that on our social media sites. On behalf of Pepe, Talia, Garrick, our analyst desk, and our door closer, see you next week. Levi. Levi is the name of our door closer. Why didn't I mention?